All right. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Awesome. Thank you. So we've got 7 people on and counting. People are signing in quickly.
Great.
And there's Kathy. Awesome. Mhm.
Hello, Madam Board Member,
She's,
Madam Chair.
she's still connecting to audio, it looks
No
like.
worries.
Mhm.
And Jackie, I may go on off video for a second with the little ones, but I'm here. So whenever you call on me, I'm ready, okay?
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. We've got 17 people so far. We have
All
36
right. I
people
see
ready.
that. And
We'll
I'm
see.
going to go ahead and put some things in the chat
Okay, great. Yes. Thank
proactively, okay?
you. Preemptively.
All
Yeah.
right. I'm going to do that now.
All right.
Let's see.
I know that interestingly enough, when people join, they can't see the history often, so you might have to do it again.
Yes, I'll do that now. Actually, I'm going to try to do it join from my phone as well. That was my challenge because I'm moving around.
Yes.
Remember, Edna, how are you?
Hi.
Hi.
All right, so let me see.
So Kathy, we have 37 people registered, 17 people on so far, so we're going to wait a little bit and see who else joins.
Okay.
So welcome to everyone who's on so far. We're just going to wait a little bit more because we only have 18 people, but out of 37 registrants. But welcome to all the participants. Look forward to spending this next 90 minutes with you, and hopefully by the end you will be ready, if not already past the the 2 FEMA exams. So welcome again. Just wait another couple minutes.
I hope while we're waiting, I hope everybody's enjoying some nice weather.
Yes.
Today is a really good day considering we had torrential rain from Tropical Storm Cristobal.
Oh, yeah.
If people want to maybe start going ahead and putting in the chat your names and your branch names, just so we know who's on, that would be great. Just click on the chat down there and then start filling that in. I mean, we know you're registered, but just so you can kind of say hey, since we don't have you on camera. Hi, Mr. Barnes, welcome. Oh, hi, President Haley, glad to have you back. Ms. Melvin, thank you.
And I see we've got Beverly Hill, Calvin Avon, Carol Lawrence, Carolyn Donaldson, Consuelo Williams, Diane Key.
Oh, participant. Oh, okay. We were letting people go to the chat too. Yeah. I was just
Yeah. But there are some, I was calling these out because some are not listed in the, some I only have the phone number, like the 321-662-0384.
right. Oh, hi, Mr. Keys and Ms. Diane. So I just would send people in the chat. Hi, Ms. Bugs and Ms. Donaldson. And hey, Sister Beverly, it's good to hear you on. Yeah, I think for folks who are on the phone, as Kathy said, just so you know, this is going to be pretty visual because the whole idea is to walk people through the actual test on the, you might be also on phone and also on screen, which is great. You might have audio anyway. So, but just want to make sure everyone does have access to a screen because we're going to be showing the questions via screen share and walking everyone through the questions in that way. We're also going to be showing the website where the exam is and walking people on that way. So again, inviting everybody to put yourself into the chat, just your name, your branch, just so we know what branches are represented. And yeah. Got 21 people so far. This is actually, Ms. Bugs, thank you. This is actually not for people who passed the test. It's for people who have not passed the test or who have not taken the test and they want to know how to do so. Tomorrow, I mean, if you've already passed the test and you've sent in your certificate, then you've already done what you need to do to join us tomorrow. So unless you're just curious, you don't need to stay on today. This is these two sessions were set up for people who are having a hard time getting through the test. Oh, okay, great. Congratulations, Ms. Bugs. You really can have your Sunday night, your Sunday afternoon back if you'd like. And then we can just see you for the next 3 days from 6 to 9 p.m. I think that's quite enough for you to get to know us because we'll all be on for that as well. But it's up to you. We don't want to kick you off. But thank you. Congratulations once again. That's awesome. Yes, thank you. And take good care if you're signing off. That's awesome. Anyone else want to introduce themselves and the branch you're with, just so that we have some chat activity, and also to make sure everybody knows how to use the chat, because that's going to be important for the participation for the next 3 days as well. So we invite you to. Oh, okay, great. Oh yes. Oh, yeah. If you have a certificate, then you should be able to, or you could just send the email with the, so, oh, okay, great. So Ms. Donald said, I'll put the email address in here that you would send it to. It's ECJP, Environmental Climate Justice Program at NAACPnet.org. So if you just send those certificates to that address, then you'll be all set. And if Ms. Bugs is on too, we want to make sure you send those certificates to that address, because now that'll be the key to you getting registered for your registration to be approved to join us tomorrow night. So just reminding everyone that once you finish those 2 courses and with the certificates, you have to send it to this address, ecjp@naacpnet.org. It's in the chat. Oh wait, I didn't send it to all panels. I need to send it.
Put it in, Jackie, as well.
What'd you say?
I did add it in for you as well.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
So this is an update from my first. Ms. Keys. So I don't know what your first certification was. Could you maybe say? I
can respond to that, Jackie.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Ms. Keys, I'm assuming your question is this similar to the certification that we had that we did about 2 years ago? This is a different certification. So remember, we had those courses, I think that was back in 2018, off the top of my head, 17, 18. But these 2 courses are completely different, all right? Hopefully that answers the question.
Great, thank you. Mm-hmm. Mr. Barnes, when you complete the test, you should get an email back and that confirms that you've completed and passed both tests. And in the email, there's a link down towards the bottom, and you click on the link, and that's how you get the certificate. All right, let me know if that's clear, Mr. Barnes. Otherwise, so if you just go back to the emails that you got that confirm that you passed the test, then you should see a link in there to pull up the certificates. Okay, great. So we only have 21 participants out of 37 registrants, but it might be that some people registered for both and they got on yesterday. So we'll get started with who we have, since it's already 12 minutes after 4 Eastern. So here we go. Sorry, should have gotten some water. Okay, so we'll get started here. So first, we're going to, I think while I grab some water, I think Tori is going to give us a little bit of an overview of what you should have received via email so far. And then,
okay, great.
Thank you.
Yep, go right ahead, Jackie. And thank you so much, Jackie. Thank you so much, Board Member Eglin. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here for this important test prep walkthrough training. As you've heard from our president, Adora Obianweze, who also serves on the National Board of Directors, this is a big priority for us, clearly, as we are here in Florida. And in Florida, you know that we are ground zero for disasters, as we are, I think, on storm number 3, I think as Board Member Eglin just mentioned, for hurricane season. So let me just remind everyone, you should have received a couple different documents, either from myself or the state secretary or your branch president or your branch secretary. You should have received the link clearly by you being here for tonight, this test prep walkthrough. Hopefully you've already RSVP'd for the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday courses or trainings from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., which begin tomorrow. And then, of course, at the conclusion of that training will be the first cohort to be certified with this new training. Everyone should have also received a PDF of the information that Jackie sent to us. So if you can, in advance of Jackie walking through this information, please get that PDF out, because Jackie will refer to that. Hopefully you've already gone through the material. So of course, at the conclusion of this, we'll have at least 20 plus additional folks who have passed their 2 exams. So with that, again, thank you all for being here on behalf of the president, myself, and I will turn it back over to you both.
Thank you. So, okay. So there's already a question in the chat. So if people have questions in the chat, then as I think Tori said, that both Tori and Kathy will be answering those questions directly. And it's important. Yeah, okay, great. So, and so I'll just be kind of paying attention to what I'm doing here in terms of giving this presentation. So I just got an email from one of your colleagues, Ms. Connie Williams, who was asking about if she missed yesterday's, is there a way she can see it again? So I'm just emailing her back to see if she could join us now. So we'll see if she does that. All right, so I'm gonna share screen and I'm gonna show you where the website is for the training, for the course itself, just because last time it seemed like there were folks who didn't know how to access the course. So I just want to make sure everybody sees both the course, where you access the course, and where you access the final exam. So this is the Civil Rights and FEMA Disaster Assistance. The link that Tori mentioned that he sent to you and that your secretary and your branch leadership should have sent to you, it goes directly to this page. And so on the page, there's a course overview, and to the right is the link to where you take the course. When you click on this link, then it comes to this, and then and then you have to, let's see, where's the actual, then I think you have to click, well, this is actually where, just so you know, this is where people don't have the PDF that Tori is sending me an email. You can actually click here and it will give you a printable version of the course. And that printable version, it pops up like this. And then you can save it. You know, you could act like you're printing, but it'll actually print to file. So I'll show you how that goes if it loads quickly. But maybe it won't. But basically well, I'll minimize it for the moment. Hopefully it'll come up in the meantime. But also you should know, this is where it gets confusing. And so this is a course overview again, but in order to see the actual course, it's up here, oddly, as tiny as it can be, as if it's trying to hide from us. And you click on that, and then the course itself, or you could actually just go like this as well. Yeah, so down there is the little navigation down there. So you just go through the various screens of the course, and it actually tells you how you can navigate and so forth. So you navigate from there, and it tells you right there that you have to go through the entire course and pass the final exam in order to receive credit for the course. So I'm going to go back just so you see to the beginning, and then also show you that this is where this is where we click to get on the course, and this is where you click to get the final exam. So you would click there to take the final exam online, and so this is the notice. You would put in your student identification number, which you've already gotten, hopefully, because Tori gave you the link on how to get that via email, and then he put it again in the chat. You put your student identification number in there, your last name in there, and then you go from there. So just to make sure everybody knows those steps to get to the course and to get to the final exam. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go through the actual first exam. So I'm going to pull up the final exam. And also you should know that every time, if people have already tried to take the exam once or more than one time, every time you go in and you sign up for the exam, when they post the exam, it's going to be a different, there might be different questions. They're more or less the same, but they have some different ones that they'll switch in. And then also the order of the questions will be different each time. And then finally, even the multiple choice answers, the order of the multiple choice answers will be jumbled up as well. So it said, and then you can read that at the top. It says each time that this test is loaded, you will receive a unique set of questions and answers. This test questions are scrambled to protect the integrity of the exam. So we've done this multiple times, and the questions are more or less the same, but they're definitely in a different order. And then there's definitely some different ones that are put in at different times. And so part of the reason we're doing this is because I think what happens often when we're taking tests is either we're having traumatic flashbacks to childhood, or the site can be hard to navigate. Sorry, or sometimes we're overthinking it. So we just really want everyone to kind of relax into this and realize that between having read the course, having the PDF document with all the information next to you, and just your own kind of judgment, this could come easily to you if you just relax into it and just kind of let go of any past baggage from test taking, or now that you know how to navigate the site, it should go okay. And so we'll just kind of talk through each of these, and then talk about, even the ways that we think about these answers that'll help us to determine. But the idea here isn't to go through and give the answers, because that would also mar the integrity of the certification course. Because if it came to light that we were kind of giving people answers to the exam, then it really wouldn't have the authenticity that we're looking for in this certification. So we want to make sure that everyone, but you already have what you need in order to be able to pass these tests, but we just want to make it easy for everyone. So the first question, Title VI of the Civil Rights Act prohibits discrimination based on race. It also prohibits discrimination based on A, color and national origin, B, religion and sex, C, sexual orientation and familial status, or D, disability and age. So again, this isn't the kind of test where you have to take it without looking, or that looking would be cheating. So you can find that on the PDF. You could Google it. It's easy to find the answer to this question. And so no one should have a challenge answering that question. And of course, the Title VI Civil Rights Act is at the core of the organization's mission. So that's another other thing that we can keep on in mind. So number 2, and so I'll also say we're going to go through this one by one just to kind of talk through each of them, and then we're going to do a Zoom poll, and then we'll talk through what your answers are, see what the most popular answers are, and decide whether popular is actually right, and then you'll be able to. I think by the time we go through this twice, you will be fully ready to go and take the exam on your own. So number 2, under the laws that protect civil rights, which of the following actions is acceptable? A, to schedule home inspections based on relative home values in the neighborhood. B, provide information and services for non-English speaking applicants in a separate facility. C, change established application procedures to accommodate an individual with disability. Or D, require proof of citizenship before distributing emergency food and water supplies. So this, like, again, not to overthink it. So we just know that it would never be under a law to protect civil rights that says that you should require proof of citizenship before distributing food and water supplies. We would also just know right away that it would not be allowable to schedule home inspections based on relative home values in the neighborhood. So some of these you can just tell that it can't be right. You know what I mean? So just again, use your own judgment, right? So number 3, under the Age Discrimination Act of 1975, A, age discrimination is prohibited in any program, regardless of funding. B, federal entities providing disaster assistance may not consider age in employment decisions. C, programs receiving federal assistance may not provide different or lesser services based on age. D, protections against age discrimination apply only to individuals over 40 years of age. So again, just think about it. And use the resources at hand, the PDF, Googling, whatever it would take for you to answer the question. So, and then these questions, when you take the exam, it's not time limited. Something will pop up reminding you that you only have X amount of seconds left, but then you just click on, you need more time, and then just take your time going through it. You should really have no problem. Not to discount people who did have a problem, and that's why they're here, but that's to say that that you should definitely just relax into it, and you will be able to get through. So number 4, a federally assisted disaster relief program is trying to streamline its services and provide one-stop shopping for residents with special needs. As part of this effort, program planners decide to coordinate all special services such as language interpreters, sign language interpreters, and readers for the visually impaired at a single facility at the edge of town. Individuals who require these services must therefore travel farther than other residents. Providing services in this way is A, permissible only if the facility is located on a major public transportation route. B, is a good strategy because it improves overall services and provides needed services to persons with special needs. C, is discriminatory because it serves persons with disabilities and limited English proficiency in a different manner than the rest of the population. Or D, is acceptable because there is no intent to discriminate. So again, your judgment, and you can check out the PDF to back up what your judgment call might be. Number 5, an effective way to ensure that funding decisions are fair to all segments of the community is to A, notify, sorry, I just realized that you actually aren't seeing my screen. I'm sorry, because I'm not sharing screen. And I think no one realized that that's what I was supposed to be doing. So no one pointed that out. So yeah, so here we go again. So I'm so sorry for that. I had absolutely no idea. And so Kathy and Tori, feel free to chime in whenever, something like that. Yeah, so just so you know, I'm always kind of sharing my screen during this thing. So if you could just let me know if I ever slip like that. Are you guys still with me, Kathy and Tori? Are you on mute or? Sorry, everyone. Just trying to figure out what's happening.
Yeah, I am on mute and I was away. I could hear but not see. So I'll be back in a minute to hear and see.
Okay. Tori, are you there with me? Because I definitely need someone to be as backup because we don't have anything like this happen again. Okay, sorry everyone. I apologize. We had set up kind of a system, but it obviously fell apart. So I'm so sorry about that. Okay, so number 5, an effective way to help ensure that funding decisions are fair to all segments of the community is to A, notify community organizations such as minority, ethnic, disability, and other advocacy groups of grant opportunities. B, offer competitive pricing to applicants from underserved populations. Oh, Tori, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
I was on the phone as well. It wasn't letting me talk. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. I think it's because, yeah, you're as a panelist on yeah. Anyway, all right. So here we go. Oh yeah. So okay. Let me just go through this again. An effective way to help ensure that funding decisions are fair to all segments of the community is to A, notify community organizations such as minority, ethnic, disability, and other advocacy groups of grant opportunities. B, offer non-competitive pricing to applicants from underserved populations. C, vary the experience requirements for different applicants to even the playing field for disadvantaged groups. Or D, advertise hiring and contracting opportunities only to selected companies. So again, think about that. A way to ensure that funding decisions are fair. So in that sense, it's never going to be fair if you're only advertising hiring and contracting opportunities only to selected companies, for example. So just, again, think about what you think makes most sense and then use the PDF as backup. Let me just check the chat because I'm just not sure if people are there checking chat as well. Because I want to make sure you're not missing anything. And, okay. Oh, show questions 1 to 4. All right, so Mr. Melvin, all right, email address. Okay, I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything because I'm not sure what's happening with other. Okay, so I will show you questions 1 to 4 as requested by President Haley. And sorry again about that challenge. So going back up to questions 1 through 4. Yeah, so as we saw, the Title 6 of the Civil Rights Act prohibiting discrimination based on race. It also prohibits discrimination based on color and national origin, religion and sex, sexual orientation and familial status, disability and age. So again, we can just know which one that is from looking it up on the PDF or just Googling. Under the laws that protect civil rights, which of the following is acceptable? And again, this is one where you can really just tell on your own without even looking it up, if you really just kind of let it sink in based on your own civil rights chop. So would it be acceptable to schedule home inspections based on relative home values in the neighborhood? That would mean like, oh, this house has a higher value, so we'll do the home inspection here, but this house has a lower value, so we won't even bother with the inspection there. Would that be acceptable? B, provide information and services for non-English speaking applicants in a separate facility. So again, would it be acceptable to say, okay, all the folks who speak Chinese or Spanish or Japanese, you go over here, everybody else is gonna go over here. So would that be acceptable? Change established application procedures to accommodate an individual with a disability, C. D, require proof of citizenship before distributing emergency food and water supply. So somebody walks up to you and says, I need some food. You say, show me your passport. Would that ever be acceptable? so, so again, you can just do that. You know, you can figure that out, some of these out just based on your own knowledge of what civil rights is. And that's why you're with the NAACP. Number 3, under Age Discrimination Act of 1975, A, age discrimination is prohibited in any program regardless of funding. B, federal entities providing disaster assistance may not consider age in employment decisions. C, programs receiving federal assistance may not provide different or lesser services based on age. D, protections against age discrimination apply only to individuals over 40 years of age. So again, just knowing how laws work. In some ways, some of those you can assume may or may not be true. And then others, you know, you can, again, just look it up on the PDF or via Google. Number 4, a federally assisted disaster relief program is trying to streamline the services. And basically, they decide that they're going to just put all the special services for people with special needs into one building that's on the edge of town, that's further away than where all the other services are. So they're asking, you know, to us to assess what that would be. And so in terms of, you know, yeah, the acceptability of providing services in that way. And so the choices are, yeah, sure, that's fine if the facility is located on a major publication route. So as long as they can get there on transportation route, as long as they can get there on a bus or train, it's fine that they're way on the edge of town and have to go further than everybody else. B, it's a good strategy because it actually improves overall services and provides needed services to people with special needs. Even though they have to go to the edge of town and travel farther than everyone else to get there. C is discriminatory because it serves people with disabilities and limited English proficiency in a different manner than the rest of the population. So again, when we think about this from a civil rights perspective, is it fair that you're in a wheelchair, you speak a different language, you need a sign language interpretation, so that means you have to, you know, travel several miles out of town and, you know, as opposed to what everyone else has to do. So D is acceptable because there's no intent to discriminate. So it's totally fine if I run over you with my car, you know, as long as I didn't mean to do it. So again, these things are things that, that you can really kind of know on your own whether they're okay or not. But again, you can also look it up on the PDF as well. So number 5, I already went through while you were here. Number 6, all of the following statements are true except A, the content of all public meetings must be available to individuals with hearing impairments. B, it is acceptable to house a disaster-related program in a non-accessible building if no accessible buildings are readily available. C, providing information in alternative formats helps ensure that persons with disabilities can access the information. Or D, one way to provide all socioeconomic groups access to a facility is to situate the facility in a certain location on a major public transportation route. So the question is, which one of these is not acceptable? Which one of these is not true? So think about that as you go forward. So number 7, if you feel something you have said or done may be perceived as a civil rights violation, the best approach is to A, if you were doing your best to help the individual, just forget about it and move on. B, discuss the matter with your supervisor or equal rights officer immediately. C, just wait and see if a complaint is filed before raising the issue. Or D, record the facts and maintain them in your records so you'll be prepared if an issue is raised. Again, I think you can just determine on your own, but again, it's in all the answers are in the PDF as long as you look for them. And again, this won't time out. It'll ask you if you need more time. You just click let yes, but don't ever walk away from it while you're in the middle of it. because it will time out if you're not there to say you need more time, and then you will have have to start all over again. 8, which law authorizes federal assistance in presidentially declared disasters and prohibits discrimination during disaster relief and assistance activities? So really only one of these particularly pertains to authorizing federal assistance in presidentially declared disasters. You could just Google that or look on the PDF, but it's pretty clear from the course itself. So A, Rehabilitation Act of 1973, Stafford Act of 1988 as amended, Civil Rights Act of 1964 as amended, or the Americans with Disabilities Amendment Act of 2008. So now we're looking for which of the following is a true statement. So that means 3 of them are untrue, 1 of them is true. A, information provided to individuals with sensory impairments need only cover the main concepts of information provided to the general public without the details. So if you got a sensory impairment, all you have to do is give them the gist of it. You don't have to get into any, particulars, just give them the long and short of it. Is that a permissible thing? B, people with disabilities may be charged to cover the cost of measures taken to ensure equal access and non-discriminatory treatment. So that means, I'm blind, I go in, I need the disaster assistance information in Braille, and they say, sure, that'll be $5. Is that ever gonna be something that's permissible? Something, again, don't have to necessarily look it up to figure that out. C, modifying rules, policies, practices, and procedures for providing services to persons with disability is a form of discrimination. Or D, emergency programs, services, and activities for individuals with disabilities typically must be provided in an integrated setting. Which one of these is a true statement? That's what we're trying to find. And then finally, C, this is where, so keep in mind, this is a kind of the point where they would ask you and then you just say, yes, I do require more time, and then take your time and continue on. And even if it comes up again, it will never kind of stop you and say your time's up, unless you walk away and aren't there to click that you need more time. So anyway, 10, the Fair Housing Act of 1968 prohibits housing discrimination, A, only in housing paid for with federal funds, B, in all types of housing, regardless of funding, C, only in housing intended for long-term residents, or D, in all housing except disaster-related temporary housing. So in which of those circumstances does it prohibit housing? In which of those circumstances do we prohibit housing discrimination? Like, how encompassing is the Fair Housing Act of 1968? Yes. Which circumstances does it cover? Okay, so that's the exam. So now what we're gonna do is, yeah, that's true. We should not be putting answers in the chat. Thank you. So now what we're going to do is actually take the test, not the actual test, but take it through the poll, and that way you can practice it. Then I'll share with you what the results of what you've all done, and everyone will see kind of the most popular answer. We'll just talk them through quickly, and then we'll go to the next test. So I'm going to launch the polling. Take your time, but try to just keep it moving. And we'll be able to see how, we won't, when we show it, we won't show individual, like you won't be able to, like we'll know who, we'll know, but you won't be able, we won't display for you all the names of, but we'll show you kind of how many people answered which question and in which way. So if you could just go through and take go through and answer all the questions as reasonably quickly as you can, then we'll go and do that. So have at it, and I'll be able to see how quickly we get through. So we have 18 people, and hopefully it'll start ticking through and show 1 out of 18, 2 out of 18, 3 out of 18 have completed the test. So this is just an opportunity for you to practice with no fear of rejection, but just for you to kind of let the questions sink in and don't overthink, just answer. And soon we'll all come back together and we'll review how you all respond. It'll be kind of like polling the audience on who wants to be a millionaire. You'll be able to see it all because I'll share the screen. So thank you in advance. And we will be waiting. I'll go in silence so you can concentrate. But I'll let you know every once in a while when each person finishes. One person is complete. Thank you. One and counting. 2 people are finished. Thank you. 2 and counting. No pressure on the others, just information. 4 people and counting. Thank you. Five people have completed the poll and counting. Thank you. Wow, I just went to put my bowl in the sink and we jumped to 8. 8 and counting. Thank you. Ten complete. 10 out of 19 and counting. Thank you. 11. Thank you. Twelve. Thank you. 13. Thank you. 14. Thank you. Okay, so 4 more people to go. If there is anyone who is on but isn't planning on completing the poll, if you could just indicate in the chat so that we're not, oh, 15, awesome. Just 3 more to go. So if there's anyone who's on who's not planning to complete the poll, if you could just indicate in the chat so we're not waiting in vain for your love, as the Bob Marley song goes. Thank you in advance. Otherwise, we will wait patiently for the other 3 people if you are indeed still completing the poll. Last time we were worried that people had walked away from their computers and we had no idea while we were still waiting, hoping that those last ones would come in. So we'll just give it another few minutes and then, yeah, I think no. Oh, so in answer to Kathy's question, because there's panelists who, the system knows who's panelists and who are participants. So there's 21 participants altogether and 18 folks who are in the polling count. So that discounts us, yeah. Yeah, so Tori, you're not counted. Neither you nor Kathy nor I are counted in the 18, yeah. Oh, 16, great. So just 2 more, maybe. We'll hang on. The 16th person gave us hope that people are still working on it. Thank you for that. So, but we'll just give it a little longer and we'll see what happens. All right. Oh yeah, that could be an issue. Okay, so we've got 1 person who signed in twice, so that could definitely be a factor. And if there's anyone who's only signed in on phone, that could also be a factor. So maybe we'll just give it maybe we'll just assume that everyone has finished. If there's anyone who wants any more time, just let us know in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to end the poll now. Last count, going once, going twice. All right, so we'll just assume everyone is done. And even if you're not done, it's okay. But we'll still all go through it together so you'll have a sense of where things are. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna end the poll and then I'm gonna share the results with everyone. All right, let's make sure nobody cried foul. Okay, no. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna share the results. Good. Hopefully everyone can see that. It says attendees are now viewing the poll results. So let's go through. So under the law that protects civil rights, which of the following actions is acceptable? 88% of you said, which is 15 out of the 16 respondents said change established application procedures to accommodate an individual with a disability. So that's what you all think is the answer, which I think makes sense. I think that requiring proof of citizenship before distributing emergency food and water supplies in this administration, it's a reasonable thing to be concerned about. But in fact, it is against civil rights law, even though we all know that this administration rampantly violates civil rights law implicitly and explicitly. But it is against civil rights law to require proof of citizenship to give emergency food and water supplies. So next, the Fair Housing Act of 1968 prohibits housing discrimination in all types of housing, regardless of funding. That one actually gave me pause as well. I could see why the three people would have said only in housing paid for with federal funds. But as you know, they had, remember when they did back in the, I don't know what year, maybe the 80s, they used to do those sting operations where they would have a Black person go in and they would have a white person go in with basically the same credit profile and so forth, and see if these various landlords were discriminating. And those weren't federally funded properties. Those were just, some of them had housing subsidies, but it's against the law in all types of housing, basically. So number 3, an effective way to help ensure that funding decisions are fair to all segments of the community is to notify community organizations such as minority, ethnic, disability, and other advocacy groups of grant opportunities was what the most popular answer is. And that definitely makes sense. Next. Okay, let's see, how do I scroll? Okay, next. Which law authorizes federal assistance in presidentially declared disasters and prohibits discrimination during disaster relief and assistance activities? So what the most people thought was the Stafford Act. That is the only act that authorizes federal assistance in presidentially declared disasters. I can see why folks would think of the other things in terms of the prohibiting discrimination part, but the key part is which law authorizes federal assistance in presidentially declared disasters, and the Stafford Act authorizes federal assistance in presidentially declared disasters. Number 5, if you feel you have said or done or something you have said or done may be perceived as a civil rights violation, the best approach is to, 14 out of 16 of you said, discuss the matter with your supervisor or equal rights officer immediately. Yes, and I can see why those 2 people said record the facts and maintain them in your records so you'll be prepared if an issue is raised. And I think one should do that as well. But I think that the key point there is that it was saying that that's the only action you should take, or yeah, that's the implication. But in addition to recording the facts, it would be ideal to discuss it with your supervisor or equal rights officer. There is one. Proactively. So number 6, under the Age Discrimination Act of 1975, we have a little bit of more division on this one. But the most popular one is age discrimination is prohibited in any program regardless of funding. And yes, yes. So I'm not sure about, so the folks who I would love if we were having more of a discussion, because I would be curious to hear about the people who thought age discrimination only applied to people over 40 years of age, but that's intriguing. But yeah, age discrimination is prohibited in any program, regardless of funding. Yeah. So number 7, all of the following are true statements except it is acceptable to house a disaster-related program in a non-accessible building if no accessible buildings are readily available. That is what the majority of people thought, and that is also what I thought. And I could see how 5 people thought one way to provide all socioeconomic programs one way to provide all socioeconomic groups access to a facility is to situate the facility in a central location, especially since we talked about that in another question. But the only one that's not true is that it's accessible to house a disaster-related program in a non-accessible building if no accessible buildings are readily available. I mean, because I think I can see where someone would think maybe that one's okay because it's like, well, if there's nothing else available, what are you supposed to do? But the idea is that under law, you really should make, find a way to make whatever you're going to do accessible because, yeah, it's never going to be acceptable. It might be what happens, but it's not acceptable to house that. Anyway, number 8, a program is trying to streamline its services and provide one-stop shopping for all residents. So this is actually, anyway, the actual language for this is, Zoom only had limited amount of space. So the full question is, a federally assisted disaster relief program is trying to streamline its services and provide one-stop shopping for residents with special needs. As part of this effort, program planners decide to coordinate all special services, such as language interpreters, sign language interpreters, and readers for the visually impaired at a single facility located at the edge of town. Individuals who require these services must therefore travel farther than other residents providing services in this way. And the majority said is discriminatory because it serves persons with disabilities and limited English proficiency in a different manner than the rest of the population. And that is also the answer that I chose and I passed, so I assume it was correct. But yeah, again, acceptable because there was no intent to discriminate. I could see why you would say that for sure, but no. it's kind of like, yeah, just because, although it's interesting because when it comes to polluting, it's harder to prove, like under civil rights law, there's this kind of duty to prove intent when it comes to polluting. So that's an interesting difference, but in this case, it is deemed to be discriminatory. So number 9, Number 9, Title VI of the Civil Rights Act prohibits discrimination based on race. It also prohibits discrimination based on color and national origin. Was the vast majority. 10 out of 16 people thought it was color and national origin. So yes. And then finally, which of the following is a true statement? The emergency program services and activities for individuals with disabilities typically must be provided in an integrated setting. Yes. So looks like you're all pretty much ready to take this test. So for the folks who were answering, I mean, I think that, there were only a few people who were answering a little bit differently than the majority. And so hopefully us going through this and talking through the reasons will help you to be able to see when you're taking the test, why it is that the choices were what they were. And again, I encourage you all to keep that PDF right at hand and take as long as it takes for you to just go through and check every answer against that PDF. Like you can kind of test yourself to see if you know off the top of your head, but then consult that PDF because it will tell you. There's no mysteries in this test. So there's no need for you to worry about timing out or anything. But the one thing you want to worry about is passing the test. So keep that PDF and just check every answer. If there's any doubt at all, just check it. If you have no doubt, then feel free to wing it. But if there's any doubt, just check it against the PDF or Google it. Sorry, I didn't realize my camera was off. So, great. So, is someone still, Tori or Kathy, are you still monitoring the chat? I see some unanswered questions here.
Can you hear me? I'm here.
Yeah, okay, but you're still monitoring the chat, right? I just want to make sure that I'm not, okay, because there's a couple of questions that people had. Okay, all right. All right, so back to, so now we will go to the second one, unless there's any questions that people, also, you know that there's an option to raise your hand if you want to actually ask a question verbally rather than putting it in the chat. Does everyone know how to raise your hand? Hopefully, yes. But if there aren't any questions, then we'll go to the next exam. But hopefully everyone feels ready to take this one. You feel confident about the answers. And again, definitely try to check if you feel even a niggling doubt, just check it against the PDF and just to be sure, just so you can absolutely pass the exam. And also keep in mind that when you take the exam, if you don't pass it, then you can go right back in and take it again. So don't worry about that. But the objective, though, is to get it passed so that you can send in the certificates. And again, you're sending the certificates into to the ECG. I'll put it back in the chat again. To this address, because that's going to be the key to your registration being approved to join us at 6 o'clock tomorrow night. So that being said, we are going to go to the next test and go through that. So hold on. Final exam notice. Which one is this? Okay, hold on. I'm just going to sign in and then I'm going to share my screen with you. That was civil rights and FEMA. That was that. So now we're going to do intro to CERT. And I'm going to sign in to take the exam. And then I'm going to show you the screen. Hold on. And signing in. Last name. I agree. And my address. Right. Private sector. And continue to exam. All right, so sharing screen. And then we'll go through again. So this one has 15 questions. Since the polls only allow for 10 questions each. So for the poll, we have one 10-question poll and one 5-question poll. But it'll go much smoother this time, hopefully, because now we're used to it. So hopefully everyone can see the exam. If anyone can't see the exam, please put it in the chat so that Tori and or Kathy see that, and then they will let me know since they're both able to mute and unmute. Otherwise, I'm going to continue as if everybody can see what I'm seeing, which is the final exam for the introduction to the Community Emergency Response Team, CERTs. So here we go. First question, again, keeping in mind that they scramble the questions every time. How do CERTs volunteers prepare for disaster? A, this computer-based training course. B, weekly CERT newsletters. C, hands-on practice and realistic exercises. Or D, briefings from FEMA personnel. So again, you can pretty much imagine which ones aren't really ways that CERT volunteers prepare for disasters. I mean, some of these are good resources where people can get information that would help them to be more knowledgeable as they go into disasters. But according to the PDF and according to the course, there's kind of one way out of all of these where the CERTs volunteers actually prepare for disasters in a concrete way. 2, CERT training promotes national resilience by A, teaching people how to work together. B, making people aware of terrifying situations and disasters. C, creating a culture of preparedness for all people or D, pairing a volunteer with an emergency responder? Again, how does the CERT training promote national resilience? Thinking about that. 3, staffing parades, distributing disaster supply lists, and home safety checks are examples of CERT volunteers performing A, mitigation activities, B, emergency management, C, required service hours for CERT certification, or D, community service. Again, you can kind of surmise what those answers might be. Oh, a raised hand, exciting. Okay, let me see what Cynthia's saying. Allowed to talk. Asked to unmute. Ms. Slater, did you have a question?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry. It said you were raising your hand. Okay. I'll mute you again. Thank
Sorry
you.
about that.
That's okay. No worries. Take care. Thank you for being with us. All right. Okay. So, yeah. So just think about which one we think that is. Yes. And again, when in doubt, check the PDF. All right. So which of the following statements is true about CERTs? A, CERTs are restricted to disaster response activities in their neighborhoods. B, CERTs often support emergency response agencies with non-emergency projects in the community. C, being a CERT volunteer requires little time because disasters do not occur frequently. Or D, CERTs never support emergency response agencies with non-emergency projects. So again, think about which one of those you think is true. Yeah, and I think in some ways, you could really, this is one that you could answer without looking at the PDF or even going through the course. But the PDF, but if there's any niggling doubt, just look at the PDF that has the whole course there. And again, every answer to every last one of those questions is on that PDF. So there's no reason to, but it could take a little bit of finding, but it's all there. So number 5, what is the main benefit from applying the CERT organizational structure during a disaster response? What is the main benefit from applying the CERT organizational structure during a disaster response? This one was not on my test. This one doesn't even look familiar. Anyway, the ability to direct team responses to do the most good for the most people in the shortest amount of time. Actually, this was on my test, I remember that. B, emergency responders know who to contact during the response efforts. C, the sponsoring agency can easily account for all CERT members during the response. Or D, it follows national preparedness guidelines. So this is the main benefit of applying the CERT organizational structure during a disaster response. The main benefit. And that is clearly written in the document. So the one thing you want to make sure you're not doing in this case, because any of these can look good, like they look like good things. Like obviously it would be good to have to follow national preparedness guidelines, but is that what's in the document as the main benefit from applying the CERT organizational structure during a disaster response? So this is the kind of one where you really want to have that PDF close at hand, because any of these look like good things, but is it the answer to the question? And the PDF, if you look at it, will let you know. Number 6. What is one key question a CERT member must consider while working? A, is it safe for me to do this task? B, how many people will benefit from my actions? C, is my training up to date? Or D, is this part of my assignment? So that's the one key question a CERT member must ask. So think of a question that is an essential question. And I think, again, this is one where if you think of it as an essential question, then the answer will be very clear to you without having to look at anything. But if you feel in doubt, always look at the PDF because it will tell you. Number 7, 3 CERT volunteers are first on the scene of a car accident and provide assistance. This is an example of A, emergency disaster response, B, augmenting professional response resources, C, mitigating hazards, or D, being good Samaritans. And so this is another one where, you know, another answer, one of the other answers might be true in the general sense, but you're looking for what the actual answer is according to the CERT protocols in that PDF, you know? So if you might think to yourself, well, of course, if they're on the scene of the accident and they're providing assistance, they are being a good Samaritan. And so that again, that might be true, but is it, according to the CERT protocols, what is it an example of? Number 8, who delivers the classroom and hands-on training you need to become a CERT volunteer? A, the CERT's sponsoring organization, B, a team of first responders and other qualified volunteers, C, FEMA, or D, your state's emergency management office. So yesterday, pretty much everyone got this one wrong because they thought that they just would, they thought that they knew based on CERT being part of this agency. But you really want to look this one up because clearly everyone thought it was different than what it actually is. And that's very much in the PDF. So just look in the PDF and you won't go wrong because you will find the answer to every last one of these questions in there. So number 9, what is a college campus CERT? What? Okay, yeah, a typo. There's many typos in this thing, and a few grammatical errors as well. So, what is a college campus CERT most likely to focus on? A, community service hours. B, campus emergency situations. C, weather-related situations, or D, student security. What is a college campus CERT most likely to focus on? So number 10, aside from CERT basic training, your sponsoring organization may offer additional training on emergency flood response and which of the following subjects? 1, A, staging area setup, B, advanced medical skills, C, advanced firefighting, or D, emergency communication. So aside from CERT basic training, your sponsoring organization may offer additional training on emergency flood response and which subject below. All right, 11. Volunteer teams assigned to tasks have at least 3 members. One must be the leader. What other role must be filled on the team? Planner, runner, logistics, operations. So all 4 of these are roles on the CERT team. But which is the one that is essential, that has to be filled? So again, this is one where you definitely want to look at that PDF because it's not obvious at all. Number 12, by learning how to safely respond to man-made technological and national, and again, I think that's supposed to be natural, disasters, CERT volunteers contribute to A, natural resilience, B, national resilience, C, emergency management, or D, local fire and emergency services. So by learning how to safely respond to man-made technological and natural disasters, CERT volunteers contribute to which of those 4 things? Number 13, what are the first tasks the team leader must perform upon arriving at the staging area? A, gather and document information about the incident. B, communicate with emergency responders to let them know the CERT is in place. C, assign volunteers to specific positions and prioritize response activities. Or D, take the team to the most pressing need. So think about the team leader, what they should do when they get there. And if you think about the role of a CERT, that it'll be obvious to you what that is. If you think about the primary role of a CERT, the role and function. But if you're in any doubt, just check out the PDF. 14, generally, why do people join the CERT? And this is, again, people might have different reasons, but I guess they've done a survey and it's in the PDF, what most people have said, I guess. So A, to earn Citizen of the Year, B, to stay busy, C, to put their scouting knowledge and skills to use, or D, to better prepare for hazards and protect themselves, loved ones, and their neighbors. Again, I think that one is fairly self-evident. So number 15, how do you become a certified CERT volunteer? And again, yesterday, most people got this one wrong. So definitely check out the PDF to be sure. So A, completing this online course. B, by completing this course and CERT basic training classroom-based course. C, by completing CERT basic training web-based course. Or D, by completing service hours with the CERT sponsoring agency. So that being said, it's poll time. So it's time for us all to practice and make sure we've got this straight. So I'm going to stop sharing. And we'll see how this goes. So let me, run the poll, and you have as much time as you need. Let me stop sharing results and go to the next poll. So this one, it's 10 questions at a time. I mean, 10 questions in the first one and then 5 questions in the next one. So the poll is launched. Again, keep your PDF close at hand if you have any doubts, and have at it, and we will share the results again and walk through them. And I think your peers will be your best guides, but the PDF is your #1 guide at this moment. So again, we'll let you know the progress as it proceeds. And I'm gonna go off screen and on mute until I start seeing the answers roll in. Thank you all. One complete, thank you. 17 more to go. 4 finished. Thank you very much. Awesome. That was a big surge. I blinked and 3 more went in. So 13 more to go. Thank you. Five. 12 more to go. Thank you. 6. 11 more to go. Thank you. 7. 10 more to go. Thank you. 8. 9 more to go. Thank you. 10. 11. 6 more to go. 12. 5 more to go. Thank you. $13. 4 more to go. $14. 3 more to go. Did we lose Tori and Kathy? Kathy and okay. Because someone's been desperately asking the same question over and over again in the chat with no response being received.
Well, I got them all. Let's see.
What's there?
Just got one.
Yeah, she just asked it repeatedly in succession. So just okay, so we're holding steady at 14. I'm not sure if we might be in a situation. Oh, 15. Great. Thank you. All right. So let me just make sure that Ms. Melvin, I'm just going to tell you this, sorry to distract if anyone's still working on it. But just a clarification with Ms. Melvin, if you're seeing what Kathy's putting in the chat, you might not be, because I think, Kathy, you're only writing to panelists, not panelists and attendees. You have to choose. Anyway, so Ms. Melvin, there's only, I was saying before that you can only do 10 questions at a time on the Zoom poll. So we're going to go through these 10 questions, and then we're going to do the other 5 questions, because you can only do, the polls are limited to 10 questions only. So did you already submit your poll, or if not, if you could go ahead and submit it? Oh, you did. Okay, good. So maybe the other 2 people are on phone or something, but if there is anyone else who's still working on it, if you could let us know in the chat. Otherwise, we'll move into the review stage here. That way we can get to the last 5 questions still. So I'll just give it a couple more seconds. Otherwise, we'll just switch to the review and assume that that we don't Oh, Ms. Neal, you saying you never saw the poem, Sister Beverly? Is that what you're saying? All right. Well, okay. Well, I'm not sure, Sister Beverly, when you say you don't see the screen, but anyway, so I'm gonna end the 16. Thank you. Oh, you saw the poll and participated. Okay, good. So that's good. So you're all set, Ms. Neal. So now we have 16 out of 17. I don't know if there's one more person waiting to participate or if it's the person who signed in twice, but I'm going to end the poll unless somebody's desperately trying to write those last answers in. You can let me know in the chat if so. Oh, okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and end the poll. And then we're going to review the answers if everybody's okay with that. All right. Here we go. All right, so sharing results. And I can see already we have a little bit more. Yeah, we're gonna have to consult that PDF because I can tell we have a little bit more diversity in the responses here. So hopefully everybody can see the results now. I have it posted. We can start going through. First one, aside from CERT basic training, your sponsoring organization may offer additional training on emergency flood response and which subject below. First, staging area setup got a lot of responses, 7. And then emergency communications just edged out staging area setup by 1 person. And I'm gonna make sure I can see the chat just in case anybody, if there's anyone who definitely checked the PDF and feels strongly about their response, please indicate in the chat. Otherwise, we'll assume that no one consulted the PDF and you just kind of winged it, or did anyone actually consult the PDF to verify what the absolutely correct answer was? All right. Well, if I recall correctly, from when we were doing this before, last night someone did check the PDF and they seemed to think that according to the PDF, it was staging area setup. But yeah, if no one here checked the PDF, then we don't know. So we'll move on to the next one. So number 2, who delivers the classroom and hands-on training you need to become a CERT volunteer? So the vast majority here thought it was the CERT sponsoring organization. And then a few people thought it was a team of first responders and other qualified volunteers. Did anyone consult the PDF on that, or does everyone feel confident about the CERT sponsoring organization? And as with last night people did think it was FEMA because, FEMA is a CERT thing, but FEMA is a federal emergency management agency. And, but the classroom and hands-on training is done at the local area and usually by the local fire department or some other entity. So, and so, and sometimes it can be like through Citizen Corps and other times through the local fire department. It varies. But number 3, what are the first tasks the team leader must perform after arriving at the staging area? So the vast majority thought communicate with emergency responders to let them know the CERT is in place. That is also what we determined last night as well. That was definitely the most heavily voted on answer. And what is the college campus cert most likely to focus on? Campus emergency situations. That would definitely be a logical response, and 100% of you thought so. So thank you for that. CERT training promotes national resilience by creating a culture of preparedness for all people. And that's what the majority of folks thought. And that is also what the majority of folks thought last night. Number 6, how do you become a certified CERT volunteer? So this one was a bit more split. By completing the course and CERT basic training classroom-based course, and the other folks thought by completing the CERT basic training web-based course. So to become a certified CERT volunteer, the slight majority is correct that you have to do the classroom-based course to become a certified CERT volunteer. Number 7, what is a benefit that CERT volunteers report after they complete the training? The majority of you said confidence they can protect themselves and others and minimize property damage. And that is also what most people said in the other training. So which of the following CERT basic topic covers size up, rescue techniques, and rescuer safety? So yes, it would definitely be reasonable to surmise that that's disaster preparedness. However, if you consulted the PDF, and I'm a little bit worried that people don't have the PDF, you would see that it is actually light search and rescue operations, because disaster preparedness is basically what we should all have. So it's more kind of basic, but size up, which I don't even know what that is. You know what I mean? So as soon as there's like terms that you don't know, you know it's not basic disaster preparedness. Rescue techniques and rescuer safety, that is definitely a higher level situation. So that's why that's light search and rescue operations. So the 4 people, the folks who are in the minority got that one. So volunteer teams assigned to tasks have at least 3 members. One must be the leader and another role must be filled. What other role must be filled on the team? And the slight majority said runner. And that is what the person who looked it up on the PDF last night thought it was runner as well. So that is what they verified. And then finally, how do CERT volunteers prepare for disasters? The vast majority said hands-on practice and realistic exercises. And that is what the vast majority said last night as well. So, great. Thank you all. So now we will quickly go to okay, we'll quickly go to the next poll. So let me stop sharing results. And then this one should go quickly because there's only 5. So number 3 and launch polling. Thank you. One person finished already. Progress, thank you. Two people finished, thank you very much. Four people, that was quick, thank you. Seven down, 10 to go. Thank you very much. Eight down, 10 to go. Nine. Ten, thank you. 11. 12. 13. 14. 16. All right. I'm not sure if there's a 17th or if that's the duplicate person from before, but just going to give it another few seconds to see if there's a 17th person lurking out there waiting to complete. And then we'll get started with our review, and then we'll wrap up and go on with our Sunday lives. I'm trying to eke out a little bit more R&R. Well, actually, hopefully maybe folks will go on to just quickly take the exam while all the information is fresh in your head. And then we'll be able to get those certificates in, and that way everybody can join tomorrow night. Okay. I'm going to assume that that 17th person is a duplicate. So I'm gonna end the poll unless somebody cries foul and says I need more time. Otherwise, going once, going twice. All right, I'm just gonna assume that everybody's who's gonna enter has entered, so I'm gonna end the poll. All right, so now I'm gonna share results, and oh wow, now we have a lot less diversity on this one in terms of the responses, so except for the last one, but unfortunately I know the answer to the last one, so it'll bring clarity. Okay, so number one, hopefully everyone sees, yeah, okay. How would you describe a CERT sponsored by a fire department, emergency management department, or a neighborhood club or association? The vast majority, 13 out of 16, said a community CERT, and that is correct. What is the main feature of a CERT program? Again, the vast majority, 14 out of 16, said trained volunteers use a consistent nationwide approach to support emergency responders with disaster preparedness and response. And that is true. Number three, which of the following statements is true about working a CERT? And the vast majority said CERT volunteers may be assigned to smaller teams for specific tasks. And that is also true. Number four, which of the following statements is true about the ideal CERT volunteer? And 14 out of 16 people said everyone, regardless of age, has the ability to contribute in some way to a CERT. And that is absolutely true. They say that verbatim in the PDF. And then finally, number five, 3 CERT volunteers are first on the scene of a car accident and provide assistance. This is an example of, so we said being good Samaritans. So this, I gave that as an example because I was saying, yes, it is being good Samaritan, but that's not the actual CERT protocol. Like it's not, I don't think, so that's not kind of an official part of a CERT role. That just is what it actually is. So that's why it kind of is confusing because it's not wrong per se, but it's not the answer that they're looking for. Can anyone tell? Oh, the second most popular answer was augmenting professional response resources, which I think is the answer that they're looking for. Okay, thanks, Randall. Prepares individuals how to, yep, that's true. But the question is, in this situation for number 5, what is what is this example an example of? Like, so we want to look for the section that actually specifies this, because they do kind of say, anyway, so just make sure to consult the PDF when you're going through the test, so you'll be sure that you can find the exact examples and the exact language that they use pertaining to that example. Otherwise, because it can be conflicting, just because they use different things in different places, different language in different places. And Kathy gave multiple examples of that in feedback that we're going to be giving to FEMA about this whole situation. So about the whole exam. Oh, okay, so Gina's writing in the Q&A as opposed to the chat, but she was saying that the answer is mitigating hazards. So again, definitely be sure you have the PDF on hand, because because they use certain language for certain circumstances, and you really want to kind of follow that, even though other language might be true, it might not be the answer that they're looking for. So that wraps it up. That wraps it up. So from here, hopefully you can all just log in with your student ID and just quickly go through the test because you already have it fresh in your mind and you'll be able to be successful. So don't forget, send your certificates to the address that I'm putting in the chat and oops, net.org. And yeah. Yes, once you pass successfully, please send your certificates to that address, and then that will trigger us to then approve your registration so that you will get the link for the Zoom for all 3 nights, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So again, make sure you have your PDF on hand because every last question that's in there is directly in the PDF documents that have been given to you by either the secretary, Tori, or your branch president. And if you don't have the PDF, be sure to go to the site. I mean, because right there where the course is, there's a link right under it that says you can print it, but you don't have to print it. You can just look at it on the screen, or you can print to file. You'll see an option, because even if you don't have a printer, it doesn't matter. You can just go in where it says print to file, and it'll turn it into a PDF. So are there any other questions at all? Thank you so much, Mr. Miller. Any questions, any unreadiness, or is everyone ready to just go and pass these exams? Any other assistance needed at all? Okay, 2 people raised their hands. Let's see here. Slater, I don't know. Let's see. Did you have a question, Ms. Slater, or? Okay, maybe not. Okay, Ms. Lawrence, let's see. Okay.
Yes, my question is when we complete the prerequisites and the certificate, is the certificate in the format electronically, and all we would have to do is save it as a document and then send it as an attachment to you?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, well, as soon as you successfully complete the exam, they will send you an email, and in the email will be a link that you can click on, and the document will come up as a PDF, and you just save it and send it to that email address that I put in the chat.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Sure. And thanks, Ms. Keys. Glad to hear. I'm glad you're ready, excited. And Mr. Miller, it sounds like you have a question. So oops. All right.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wanted to know the PDFs, were they sent to all the participants?
They should have been sent, but if you didn't receive them, you can either, I'll show you exactly where you can get them. So I'm gonna share my screen and show you. And you can just.
And Jack, this is Tori. Thank you for doing that. And Carl, yes, we did send it out to all branch presidents, branch secretaries, and I believe everyone on the call, at least all the folks who RSVP, should have received it. But Jack is going to show you where it is, so we should be good.
Yeah, so when you get to the main screen, so this is the Introduction to Community Emergency Response Team, that course screen. So you go and where it says take the course, you click on that. And then when you get to that page, then you click on this, which says select this link to access a printable version of the entire course. So when you click on that, you'll get this pop-up screen. Eventually it will populate, and you can either just look at it there. Yeah, there it is. You can look at it as it is. Sorry. Hopefully everyone's seeing that. I'm not sure when there's a pop-up if you can see, but let me just,
Pop-up isn't, but I think
okay,
that's
let
good.
me, all right, well, I'll show it to folks just so they can see, just in case they also might need to know how to, so this is what it looks like. It'll pop up and then it'll look like this. And then in order for, so you can either just kind of follow along with this. You can just keep this open when after it pops up and it has all of the information there and it has nice headings and so forth. And it's literally the entire course is right there. You can go through. And then if you want to save it as a PDF, what you would do is just go to any part of the screen and then right click it, and then you'll see like I don't know if you can see, but anyway, if you right click it, then you go to print, and then when you go to print, it will show you how to for me the default, it says Microsoft Print to PDF, and then you just push print and it'll automatically generate a PDF document for you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So any other, oh, there's some chat questions, just, for Tori and Kathy. There's a key chat question there. Any other questions that people have that they want, any other raised hands? Oh, Mr. Collins, okay.
Yes, can you hear me?
I can, yes.
I wanted to ask about this ID number. How do you go about getting that?
Right. Okay, so there is a link that Tori, you still there?
I'm gonna repost it right now.
Okay, there's a link that Tori's gonna put in the chat box. And you see the chat box, Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Okay, so he's gonna put the link in the chat box, and you'll see how to, you just click on the link and it'll take you straight to the place where you can go and get the ID. And according to Gina Bird, she said they'll give it to you instantly or immediately.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, no problem. I see Ms. Moore has a question, so I'm gonna ask you to unmute there.
Jackie,
Yes.
I'm going to send you an email because I am completely lost. I have finished up the course and everything, and I thought I passed it.
Yeah.
And, but I get this another screen that comes up and tell me that it says, let's see what it says. And I thought I was done, but apparently I'm not. And it's telling me that I've got to now go and take another course. And I'm just confused because I thought I finished the whole thing. After reading, it comes up, it prompts and gives you different questions and whatnot. I finished all that and it says, congratulations. The screen did come up and said, congratulations, you finished the course successfully. But it then tells me that I need to go ahead and apply for another course at some other site. So I'm kind of confused. And so I don't want to take up any more of your time. I just I knew you were on, so I figured I'd just try to come on in and just ask you if you would give me a call after this session.
Yes. Yes. If you could email me at this email address, then I'll put it in. Then you can then we can organize to talk after this.
Okay.
Hold on, I'm putting my email address in the chat. Okay. All right, thank you. Any other, oh, Ms. Neal, Sister Beverly, allowed to talk. Hello. All right, that's unmute. Do you have a question, Sister Beverly?
Yes, Jackie, thanks for the training. Listen, I have a question because when I went in to get my my ID number, it apparently I was already in the system and I didn't realize it. and it immediately gave me an ID number. So would that have been the one that I had at a previous time? Or
Yeah.
is this one?
Yeah, it's definitely the one that you had before.
Okay, I just want to be sure.
Yes, certainly.
Thank you.
No problem. Good to hear you. All right. Any other questions from anyone else? Or does everyone feel ready to go off and take the exam?
You're ready to go, Jackie.
All right.
It's
Good.
excellent. And if I could, Jackie, just want to say a big thank you, thank you, thank you. And I see all the members of the state conference that are still on and chatting. On behalf of our state conference president, thank you 1,000,000%. Board member Eglin, as you know, Adora is so appreciative of this effort and your leadership as well. So again, thank you, thank you, thank you, both of you. And we look forward to joining you tomorrow, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So we're looking forward to it.
Thank you. We are definitely looking forward to it as well. Thank you all. And feel free to let us know along the way if you have any questions at all. Otherwise, we will see you tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. And don't forget, if you don't make it on the first pass with the exam, just do it again. But just take your time. Have that document next to you. All the answers are very much there. So best wishes, everyone. We'll be thinking of you. And we will see you tomorrow because we're trusting that everybody's going to pass those exams. All right. Take care, everyone. Thanks again and good night.
Good night. Thanks, Jack.
Thank you.